Hi, this is Sara Abrons, Executive Editor at Rave Publications, and I'm here today in New York City at New York Digital Signage Week, and I'm here at the NEC Showcase with Kelly Harlin, who is the Analytics Platform Strategist for ALP and the Analytics Learning Platform, right?
Correct. That's
Okay.
great.
How are you today, Kelly?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm really good. This has been a wonderful event. How have you thought it went?
I think it's gone really well. We have a lot of customers that have seen out, but there's some new things we're able to show them today, and there's a lot of excitement. So I think as a showcase as a whole, it was a great one for NEC.
So for our viewers who don't know that much about ALP, can you explain it for us a little bit?
I can. So ALP is a cloud-based, anonymous, we're all anonymous, GDPR compliant business intelligence platform. So we are actually gathering data in brick and mortar environments. So the value proposition is we help customers understand end users understand how customers are moving through their environment, dwell, traffic, age, gender, to give them a baseline to understand who their customer base is. And then from there you can build a digital content strategy. So it's really understanding who's in your environment and how they're using it as a starting point.
So is this targeted primarily at retail?
No, actually, it's a multi-vertical. So we're looking at transportation, hospitality, education, cinema. So anyone that actually has a physical space and it has customers flowing through it, it's a platform for them.
Okay. So, data is something we're hearing a ton about right now, but I think a lot of people don't know on a practical level how data gets used by people. So can you tell us a little bit more about how that data might be actually used by a customer to make a decision?
Sure. I think data is a big buzzword. People love data. Data is overwhelming. And unless you have a plan and a business objective for your data, it's useless. So we have a lot of good use cases that we have customers that are looking to, number one, understanding their environment. So if they understand how people are moving through their environment, they could inform where they might need more services or digital signage. And if they're going through and getting their demographics, then they can actually start building on a content strategy and say, I want to trigger this content towards a certain age group, and I want to know how are they looking at, what time they looked at it, and then tie it to POS conversion, which we can do. So it's really understanding how your content's being used, how effective it is, and I think that really translates to anybody that has digital signage.
So it can also track engagement then?
Yes, it can. And so it tracks it by impressions. So we are anonymous, but we use anonymous video sensors. So the way it works is you actually mount a camera above a digital sign or print, and when someone walks by that camera, and if we catch 1 to 2 seconds of their face and 65% of their face, we can gain an impression. We know they were looking at the monitor, we know they engaged with the content, and then we can also do age and gender.
So how long does someone have to look at content to be counted as an impression?
No longer than 2 seconds.
And you mentioned anonymized data, and this morning there was a panel here about privacy, and that's obviously a big concern for advertising people. Digital signage, advertising loves data, they need metrics, but consumers are very concerned about privacy, and anything that uses the word tracking or camera recognition. When you're talking about your data platform, how does privacy factor into that?
Privacy is a huge part of the platform. We are GDPR compliant, so we are very concerned about privacy. And we are also, GDPR is the strictest privacy, but we're also looking at what's happening in the United States. So we are not collecting any personal information. It's extremely important for us to protect the data. And we also want to make sure people understand, initially, their recognition is the first place they go. They go facial recognition. It's detection. And it's an education piece for people because it's very unnerving. The way we're collecting facial, it's actually a calculation that looks at the geometry of your face. So we're not taking a picture of you, we're not capturing any image of you. It's literally an algorithm looks at your face and says, by your geometry, we predict you're male, female, this age group, and that is sent down to an on-prem server. So nothing's actually leaving the store, no images, anything. Those calculations within 256 milliseconds are done. Any streaming's deleted, and the calculations go up into the cloud.
That's interesting. And you mentioned GDPR. I think it's worth mentioning that GDPR, which applies to citizens in the European Union, but we talk about it a ton here in the United States because the European Union, the way it has kind of played out is that if an EU citizen is here in the United States and their data is being collected or viewed, as the case may be, then the company that's collecting that data is subject to the GDPR laws. Is that correct?
Correct.
So even though the U.S. privacy laws maybe aren't as strict now as GDPR is, really anyone in the United States is kind of like benefiting from those protections right now. And of course, California and Canada are enacting their own restrictions.
Absolutely, and I think California is the one to watch, and we do watch that because they are very strict. And that's going to go, I think it's going to go throughout the United States. Privacy laws are going to get tougher. We want to get ahead of that, and we're very concerned about privacy. That's why the ALP platform, we're keeping it anonymous. Eventually it will go into an opt-in model, but that is if we had a customer that had a loyalty program, but we're never going to go through and collect someone's image and use it for any kind of purposes for identifying them personally.
Yeah. So, and identifying information, what does that count as?
So for it's like any PII, it can actually even be assigning you a number and say, you're person one, you walk through my environment, I'm tracking you walking through my environment. It could be your image. It could be, any kind of credit card information, address, anything that identifies you as a person.
So users are really interested, or businesses are really interested in the demographic data. Like they want to know a man in this age range who's interested in this walked into this location, not that John Smith, who lives at X location, walked in there, right?
Correct, and it's all about the data. It's not about that person or anything about them personally. It's about the data. And they do want to know that because they want to understand who those customers are to a very granular level. Because it's very effective in targeting content and offerings, and part of what ALP does is we actually trigger that content and we gain those impressions. It also identifies other demographics that are interacting with content they may never have thought of, would find it relevant.
Okay, well thanks so much for explaining that. I think that privacy is a big concern, but people are maybe more scared than they really need to be about their things being tracked and monitored when they go certain places. And so education of everyone in the market, including the end users, is really important.
I think that's extremely important, and we're talking as a company talking about how do we provide that education, even through different associations and organizations, because there's a lot of ways that you can educate people, and also even you don't even need to have a camera to be able to do traffic and dwell. So there's other sensor options. There's a lot of ways to make people feel comfortable that are anonymous, that provide a lot of value.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Kelly. It was really great to talk to you today and hear more about ALP. Where can we find out more about that online if we were interested?
So you can go to our website, NEC/ALP, and we do have a number of different, there's videos, dashboard demos, there's brochures, there's a lot of information about privacy as well, and it'll tell you all about it. And you can also reach out to me, and I'd be happy to chat with you.
Okay, stay tuned for more coverage from Digital Signage Week here in New York City. Thanks.